All right. Hello, I'm Lee, and I'm going to continue reading the book of Enoch. Um, Quoted many times, many times in the Old Testament and the New Testament. If you want some references, refer to the first video. I went over that pretty thoroughly, found in the Dead Sea Scrolls. This is the R.H. Charles translation. One of my preferred translations of Enoch, translated in 1917. This is on sacredtext.com. I left a link. Also, a very good translation if you go to the levitebible.com. I left a link for it also. If you scroll down here, they've got Jubilees, 2nd Esdras, and Enoch. And it is adapted from the R.H. Charles translation. So you can click here. You can go and get the ebook, black and white, full color, hardcover. And this is the ebook. So they've got some very good references in there. Just very good altogether. So let's go into... We left off at chapter 70 and the translation of Enoch. And it came to pass that after this, that his name during his lifetime was raised aloft to that Son of Man and to Yahweh of spirits from amongst those who dwell on the earth. And you'll see in KJV. And where's that? Daniel. Ooh, that's a lot of. You got Son of Man, 132 pages in the KJV. See if we can narrow one down here. Daniel 7. Daniel 7, he sees the dream of the beasts. And he sees 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. Judgment was set and the books were opened. That's also in Enoch and Revelation. The beast. Yeah, see. Daniel chapter 7, verse 13. I saw in the night. Excuse me. I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. And there was given him dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that shall not be destroyed. So Daniel saw a vision of the Son of Man, and he was raised aloft on the chariots of the Spirit, and his name vanished among them. And from that day I was no longer numbered amongst them, and he set me between the two winds, between the north and the west, where the angels took the cords to measure for me the place of the elect and righteous. And there I saw the first fathers and the righteous, who from the beginning dwell in that place. And he tells you where they dwell, the chambers of the spirits, the holy, the martyrs. And he does not say the Garden of Eden, which is where Enoch and Elijah are at, but he sees the chambers, the resting place. And it came to pass after these, this chapter 71, that my spirit was translated, and it ascended into the heavens, and I saw the holy sons of Yahweh. So his spirit was translated. They were stepping on flames of fire. Their garments were white, and their raiment and their faces shone like snow. And I saw two streams of fire, and the light of that fire shone like hyacinth. And I fell on my face before Yahweh of spirits, and the angel Michael, one of the archangel, seized me by my right hand and lifted me up and led me forth into all the secrets. And he showed me all the secrets of righteousness, and he showed me all the secrets of the ends of the heaven, and all the chambers of all the stars, and all the luminaries whence they proceed before the face of the holy ones. And he translated my spirit into the heaven of heavens, and I saw there as it were a structure built of crystals, and between those crystals tongues of living fire. And my spirit saw the girdle which girt that house of fire, and on it 4 sides were streams full of living fire. And they girt that house, and round about were the seraphim, the cherubim, and the Ophanim, and these are they who sleep not and guard the throne of his glory. So different classes of angels. And I saw the angels who could not be counted, 1,000 thousands and 10,000 times 10,000, encircling that house. And Michael and Raphael and Gabriel and Phanuel and the holy angels who are above the heavens go in and out of that house. So the archangels, chapter 20 and chapter 40 of Enoch. And they came forth from that house, and Michael and Gabriel and Raphael and Phanuel and many holy angels without number. And with them the head of days. Where do we see that at? And the Ancient of Days. So the Son of Man, Messiah, Ancient of Days, the Father. His head was white and pure as wool, and his raiment indescribable. And I fell on my face, and my whole body became relaxed, and my spirit was transfigured. And I cried with a loud voice, with the spirit of power, and blessed and glorified and extolled. And these blessings which went forth out of my mouth were well pleasing before that head of days. And that head of days came with Michael and Gabriel and Phanuel, Raphael and Phanuel, thousands and 10,000s of angels without number. So he was well pleased with the blessings that came out of his mouth. It says the lost passage wherein the Son of Man was described as accompanying the head of days, and Enoch asked one of the angels concerning the Son of Man as to who he was. And he, the angel, came to me and greeted me with his voice and said unto me, This is the Son of Man who is born unto righteousness, and righteousness abides over him, and the righteousness of the head of days forsakes him not. And he said unto me, He proclaims unto thee peace in the name of the world to come, and from hence has proceeded peace since the creation of the world. And so shall it be unto thee forever and forever and ever. And all shall walk in his ways, since righteousness never forsaketh him. With him will be their dwelling places, and with him their heritage. And they shall not be separated from him forever and ever and ever. Hallelujah. And so there shall be a length of days with that Son of Man, and the righteous shall have peace and an upright way in the name of Yahweh of spirits forever. Length of days, that sounds familiar. Yep. John 12:34. The people answered him, We have heard of the law that Messiah abideth forever, and how sayest thou, the Son of Man must be lifted up? Who is this Son of Man? Yahushua said unto them, Yet a little while is the light with you. Walk while you have the light, lest darkness come upon you. For he that walketh in darkness knoweth not whither he goeth. While you have light, believe in the light, that ye may be children of light. These things spake Yahushua, and departed, and did not hide himself from them. But though he had done so many miracles before them, yet they believed not on him. See, so he tells them the verse before, And I, if I be lifted up from the earth, will draw all men unto me. This he said, signifying what death he should die. Son of Man, the Messiah. And also, if I could find it. And you got to remember, Enoch was 3500 BC, the first person to write per Jubilees. So if you see something in Scripture that lines up, 90% of the time it came from Enoch, the book of Enoch. They had the book of Enoch. Jude quoted it, Peter quoted it, the Messiah quoted it, Paul quoted it, Isaiah, Jeremiah, it's all over the place. So this is going to be, should not be separated from him. Let's look up, where's it at? Jubilees. I was just reading this today. It's very, very interesting. Chapter. Repeated. Chapter 15. Jubilees. It's Jubilees chapter 15 is talking about circumcision. What is very interesting, verse 26, And everyone that is born in the flesh of whose foreskin is not circumcised on the 8th day belongeth not to the children of the covenant which Yahweh had made with Abraham, but to the children of destruction. Nor is there moreover any sign on him that he is Yahweh's, but he is destined to be destroyed and slain from the earth, and to be rooted out of the earth, for he hath broken the covenant of Yahweh. 27, For all the angels of the presence and the angels of sanctification have been so created from the day of their creation. And before the angels of the presence and the angels of sanctification, he has sanctified Israel, that they should be with him and with his holy angels. So there's two classes of angels, angels of the presence, angels of sanctification, that were created circumcised. Very, very interesting. And there will be great wrath from Yahweh against the children of Israel, because they have forsaken his covenant and turned aside from his word, and provoked to blaspheme, inasmuch as they do not observe the ordinance of this law. For they have treated their members like the Gentiles, so that they may be removed and rooted out of the land. There will be no more pardon or forgiveness unto them, so that there should be forgiveness and pardon for all the sin of this eternal error. And what's interesting is in the New Testament, they are keeping circumcision. Even the Messiah was circumcised, Paul was circumcised. So what's he talking about? He didn't kick them out of the land for not being circumcised. Who's he talking about here? Just a question. And looking at Jubilees 25 or 23. 23. Abraham's. Here we go. Jubilees. Previous. Jubilees chapter 23, and he placed 2 fingers of Jacob on his eyes. He blessed the Elohim of Elohims, Yahweh of Elohims. He covered his face, stretched out his feet, slept the sleep of eternity, and was gathered to his fathers. And notwithstanding all this, Jacob was lying in his bosom, and knew not that Abraham, his father's father, was dead. And Jacob awoke from his sleep, and behold, Abraham was cold as ice, and he said, Father, Father, but there was none that spake, and he knew that he was dead. And he arose from his bosom and ran and told Rebekah his mother, and Rebekah went to Isaac in the night and told him, and they went together, and Jacob with them, and a lamp was in his hand, and when they had gone in, they found Abraham lying dead. And Isaac fell on the face of his father, and wept and kissed him, and the voices were heard in the house of Abraham. And Ishmael his son arose and went to Abraham his father, and wept over Abraham his father, he and all the house of Abraham, and they wept with a great weeping. And his sons Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the double cave near Sarah his wife, and they wept for him 40 days, all the men of his house, Isaac and Ishmael, and all their sons, and all the sons of Keturah, in their places. And the days of weeping for Abraham were ended, and he lived 3 jubilees and 4 weeks of years, 175 years, and completed the days of his life, being old and full of days. Okay, so this is a prophecy into the future. Moses received jubilees from the angels at Mount Sinai. Jubilees is quoted in Genesis 48 and a bunch of other places also. So Jubilees was the first book written after Enoch, but before everything else, and after the Testament of the 12 Patriarchs. And yeah, for the days of the forefathers of their life were 19 jubilees, and after the flood they began to grow less than 19 jubilees, and to decrease in jubilees, and to grow old quickly, and to be full of their days by reason of manifold tribulation and the wickedness of their ways, with the exception of Abraham. For Abraham was perfect in all his deeds with Yahweh, and well pleasing in righteousness all the days of his life. And behold, he did not complete 4 jubilees in his life, when he had grown old by reason of the wickedness, and was full of his days. So it says he was not wicked, but he grew old because of the wickedness. So what he grew old of? The wickedness of man. So the wickedness around us affects us also. And all the generations which will arise from this time until the day of the great judgment will grow old quickly before they complete 2 jubilees, and their knowledge will vanish away. So 2 jubilees is 49, so 98 years. There's very few people that live to 98 today, and when you get to the 60s, most people, their knowledge are vanishing away. In those days, if a man live a jubilee and half of years, they will say regarding him, he hath lived long, and the greater part of his days are pain and sorrow and tribulation, and there is no peace. We are there right now. For calamity followeth on calamity, wound on wound, and tribulation on tribulation, and evil tidings on evil tidings, and illness on illness, and all evil judgments such as these, one with another, illness and overthrow, and snow and frost and ice, and fever and chills, and torpor, the famine, and death, and sword, and captivity, and all kinds of calamities and pains. And all these will come on an evil generation which transgresseth on the earth. So these are holy scriptures which came from the heavenly tablets given from the angels to Moses. All these will come on an evil generation which transgresseth on the earth. What is transgression in the scriptures? Transgresseth. First John 3:4, whoever committeth sin transgresseth also the law, for sin is transgression of the law. And what is the world taught today? The law is done away with. The church, you don't have to keep the commandments. Evil generation which transgresseth on the earth. So we're there right now. Their works are uncleanness and fornication and pollution and abominations. 100%. Wicked, wicked, wicked generation. Then they will say, the days of the forefathers were many, even unto 1,000 years, and were good. But behold, the days of our life, if a man hath lived many, are 60 years and 10. And if he is strong, 80 years, and those evil. And there is no peace in the days of this evil generation. And in that generation the sons will convict their fathers and their elders of sin and unrighteousness, and of the words of their mouth, and the great wickedness which they perpetuate, and concerning their forsaking the covenant which Yahweh made between them and him. So that's future prophecy. This is taking place right now. That they should observe and do all his commandments and his ordinances and all his laws, without departing either to the right hand or to the left. For all have done evil, and every mouth speaketh iniquity, lawlessness. You can look up the Greek word. And all their works are an uncleanness and an abomination, and all their ways are pollution, uncleanness, and destruction. 100%. Don't depart to the right hand or to the left. Where's it at? Oh, goodness. Hang on one second. Grab a tissue. Oh, let's see here. Sorry about that. Where's it at? Oh, 53 pages. There's this. I thought it was in Deuteronomy. Try that. Lamentation. Here we go. Deuteronomy 28. There's a couple of verses here. Yeah. Deuteronomy 28:14. Thou shalt not go aside from any of the words which I command thee this day to the right hand or to the left to go after other Elohim to serve them. Deuteronomy 5:32. You shall observe to do therefore as Yahweh your Elohim hath commanded you. You shall not turn aside to the right hand or to the left. Sorry, yeah, that's what I was looking for. For all have done evil. Yep, I read that. But here, the future prophecy of the wicked generation, and he tells you, observe and do all his commandments and his ordinances and his laws. That's what people miss when they don't get the removed books. They took them out of the scriptures for a reason. If they wanted you to know it, they would have left them. Behold, the earth will be destroyed on account of all their works. There will be no seed of the vine and no oil, For their works are altogether faithless, and they will all perish together, beasts and cattle and birds and all the fish of the sea, on account of the children of men. And they will strive one with another. Future prophecy, last days generation. The young with the old with the young, the poor with the rich, and the lowly with the great, the beggar with the prince, on account of the law, and the holy covenant, for they have forgotten commandment and covenant and feast and months and Sabbaths and jubilees and all judgments. And they will stand with bows and swords and war to turn them back into the way. But they will not return until much blood hath been shed on the earth, one by another. And those who have escaped will not return from their wickedness to the way of righteousness, but they will exalt themselves to deceit and wealth, that they may each take all that is his neighbor's, and they will name the great name, but not in truth, and not in righteousness, and they will defile the Holy of Holies with their uncleanness and the corruption of their pollution. And a punishment will befall the deeds of this generation from Yahweh, and he will give them over to the sword, and to judgment, and to captivity, and to be plundered and devoured. And he will wake up against them the sinners of the Gentiles. Where'd you hear that before? Paul quotes it. Sinners of the Gentiles, who have neither mercy nor compassion, who will respect the person of none, neither old nor young nor anyone, for they are more wicked and strong to do evil than all the children of men. And they will use violence against Israel and transgression against Jacob, and much blood will be shed upon the earth, and there will be none to gather and none to bury. In those days they will cry aloud and call and pray that they may be saved from the hands of the sinners, the Gentiles, but none will be saved. And the heads of the children will be white with gray hair, and a child of 3 weeks, which is 21 years, will appear like a man of 100 years, and their stature will be destroyed by tribulation and oppression. And in those days, the last generation, the wicked generation, the children will begin to study the laws, and to seek the commandments, and to return to the path of righteousness. And the days will begin to grow many and increase amongst those children of men, till their days draw nigh to 1,000 years, and to a greater number of years than before was the number of days. And there will be no old man, nor one who is not satisfied with his days, for all will be as children and youths, and all their days they will complete and live in peace and in joy. And there will be no Satan or any evil destroyer, for all their days will be days of blessing and healing. And at that time Yahweh will heal his servants, and they will rise up and see great peace, and drive out their adversaries, and the righteous will see and be thankful, and rejoice with joy forever and ever, and will see all their judgments and all their curses on their enemies. Deuteronomy curses. All these curses falling upon curse. Curse on enemies. Deuteronomy, I think it's 30. Is it 30? Well, there's Deuteronomy 11. Deuteronomy 11:26. Behold, I set before you this day a blessing and a curse. A blessing if you obey the commandments of Yahweh, which I command you today, and a curse if you will not obey the commandments of Yahweh your Elohim, but turn aside out of the way which I command you, the way to go after other Elohim which you have not known. It shall come to pass, when Yahweh thy Elohim hath brought thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, that thou shalt put the blessing upon Mount Gerizim, and the curse upon Mount Ebal. And their spirits will have much joy. And interesting also that just recently in Jerusalem or somewhere around there, they found, well, it's Mount Ebal, they found a like a tablet of the curses. You can research it, look it up. And their spirits will have much joy, and they will know that it is Yahweh who executed judgment, and showeth mercy to hundreds and thousands, and to all that love him, who loves him. 1 John 5:3, for this is the love of Yahweh, that we keep his commandments. His commandments are not grievous. John 14:15, if you love me, keep my commandments. And do thou, Moses, write down these words, for thus are they written, and they record them on the heavenly tablets for a testimony for the generations forever. So that kind of connects to the end days prophecy in Enoch. Many end days prophecies. Chapter 72, the book of the courses of the luminaries of the heaven, the relations of each according to their classes, their dominion and their seasons, according to their names and places of origin, and according to their months, which Uriel, the holy angel, who was with me, who is their guide, showed me, and he showed me all their laws, exactly as they are, and how it is with regard to all the years of the world, and unto eternity, till the new creation is accomplished, which dureth till eternity. So he showed him all the laws of exactly how things are. And there's a reason there's the end days deception going on. You know, if it was not important for us to be deceived, we would know exactly this right here. How the earth operates, how the creation is, which they knew all the way up until our stupid generation. So Uriel showed Enoch, and Enoch wrote this book to the last generation for a reason, till the new creation is accomplished, which dureth until eternity. New creation, if you're not familiar with this, 2 Peter 3:13, nevertheless we, according to his promise, look for new heavens and a new earth wherein dwelleth righteousness. New heavens and new earth. New heavens and new earth. New heaven and new earth. So these laws and how everything operates is exactly as it is now until the new creation comes. So if you want to know the truth, there you go, the truth. Or you can be deceived and say it don't matter how everything's created, and, you know, just believe everything we're taught in school. And this is the first law of the luminaries. The luminary of the sun has it rising in the eastern portals of the heaven, and its setting in the western portals of the heaven. And I saw 6 portals in which the sun rises, and 6 portals in which the sun sets, and the moon rises and sets in these portals. And the leaders of the stars, and those whom they lead, 6 in the east, and 6 in the west, and all following each other in accurately corresponding order. Also many windows to the right and the left of these portals. And first there goes forth the great luminary, named the sun, and his circumference is like the circumference of the heaven, and he is quite filled with illuminating and heating fire. The chariot on which he ascends, the wind drives, and the sun goes down from the heaven and returns through the north in order to reach the east. Oh, stuffed up today. And is so guided that he comes to the appropriate portal and shines in the face of the heaven. In this way he rises in the first month in the great portal, which is the 4th. Those 6 portals in the east, and then that 4th portal from which the sun rises in the first month are 12 window openings, from which proceed a flame when they are open in their season. When the sun rises in the heaven, he comes forth through the portal 30 mornings in succession, and sets accurately in the 4th portal in the west of the heaven. And during this period the day becomes daily longer, and the night nightly shorter, to the 30th morning. On that day the day is longer than the night by a 9th part, and the day amounts exactly to 10 parts, and the night to 8 parts. And the sun rises from that portal and sets in the 4th, and returns to the 5th portal of the east 30 mornings, and rises from it and sets in the 5th portal. And then the day becomes longer by 2 parts, and amounts to 11 parts, and the night becomes shorter and amounts to 7 parts. and it returns to the east and enters into the sixth portal. So, and what we're taught is the earth revolves around the sun at 66,000 miles an hour. 666, yeah. And what Enoch's telling us here, the angel showed him that the sun and the moon move. And it returns to the east and enters into the sixth portal and arises and sets in the sixth portal 1 and 30 mornings on account of its sign. On that day, the day becomes longer than the night, and the day becomes double the night, and the day becomes 12 parts, and the night is shortened and it becomes 6 parts. And the sun mounts up to make the day shorter and the night longer, and the sun returns to the east and enters into the sixth portal, and rises from it and sets 30 mornings. And when 30 mornings are accomplished, the day decreases by exactly 1 part and becomes 11 parts, and the night 7. And the sun goes forth from that sixth portal in the west and goes to the east and rises in the fifth portal for 30 mornings and sets in the west again in the fifth western portal. On that day the day decreases by 2 parts and amounts to 10 parts, and the night to 8 parts. And the sun goes forth from that fifth portal and sets it in the fifth portal of the west. And rises in the fourth portal for 1 and 30 mornings on account of its sign and sets in the west. On that day, the day is equalized with the night and becomes of equal length, and the night amounts to 9 parts, and the day to 9 parts, and the sun rises from that portal and sets in the west and returns to the east, and rises 30 mornings in the third portal and sets in the west in the third portal. And on that day, the night becomes longer than the day, and the night becomes longer than the night. And the day is shorter than the day till the 30th morning. And the night amounts exactly to 10 parts, and the day to 8 parts. And the sun rises from that third portal and sets in the east. For 30 mornings rises in the second portal in the east, and in like manner sets in the second portal in the west of the heaven. And on that day the night amounts to 11 parts, and the day to 7 parts. And the sun rises on that day from the second portal and sets in the west in the second portal, and returns to the east into the first portal for 1 and 30 mornings, 31 days, and sets in the first portal in the west of the heaven. And on that day the night becomes longer than the amounts to the double of the day, and the night amounts exactly to 12 parts, and the day to 6. And the sun has therewith traversed the divisions of his orbit, not the earth, turns again on those divisions of his orbit, and enters that portal 30 mornings, and sets also in the west opposite it. And on that night has the night decreased in length by a 9th part, and the night has become 11 parts, and the day 7 parts. And the sun has returned and entered into the second portal in the east, and returns on those his divisions of his orbit for 30 mornings, rising and setting. And on that day the night decreases in length, and the night amounts to 10 parts, and the day to 8. And on that day the sun rises from that portal and sets in the west, and returns to the east, and rises in the third portal for 1 and 30 mornings, and sets in the west of heaven. On that day the night decreases and amounts to 9 parts, and the day to 9 parts, and the night is equal to the day, and the year is exactly as it is. As to its days, 364. And also Jubilees agrees, 364 days, not 365. In the length of the day and of the night, and the shortness of the day and of the night arise. Through the course of the sun, these distinctions are made. They're separated. And, I keep the weekly Sabbath. Saturday, 7th day. If you look on your calendar, the week starts with Sunday, the first day, ends with Saturday, the 7th day. 7th day Sabbath, never done away with. But our calendar is 365 days. And he told us we would go wrong as to the years and the months and jubilees. It's a prophecy. It's got to be fulfilled. All prophecies will be fulfilled. His word will be fulfilled. So that's a day lost per year. If you lose a day, your 7th day Sabbath does not line up with the 7th day, because it's every 7 days. I'm not trying to cast doubt on anybody, but that's where I'm at. I don't know the calendar, so I can't correct anything. So I just have to keep Saturday Sabbath and, go with it. But I can see that in prophecy that it could be off, because the year is 364, not 365. So it comes that its course becomes daily longer and its course nightly shorter. And this is the law in the course of the sun, and his return as often as he returns 60 times and rises. And this is scripture, so there's got to be a reason that he tells us. This is his word. He's telling us. So there's a reason he's telling us. And that'd be like you reading the Gospel of John and, well, that don't matter no more, and just throwing it out. No, it's scripture. It matters. Whether you think it matters or not is irrelevant. It's his word, not yours. He returns 60 times and rises. The great luminary, which is named the sun forever and ever. And that which thus rises is the great luminary, and is so named according to its appearance, according as Yahweh commanded. As he rises, so he sets, and decreases not, and rests not, but runs day and night, and his light is sevenfold brighter than that of the moon. But as regards the size, they are both equal. If you look up in the sky, you see the sun and the moon equal in size. The sun is sevenfold brighter than the moon. Chapter 73. And after this law I saw another law dealing with the smaller luminary, which is named the moon, and her circumference is like the circumference of the heaven, and her chariot which she rides is driven by the wind. So that's how the sun and the moon move. And light is given to her in definite measure, and her rising and setting change every month, and her days are like the days of the sun, and when her light is uniform, full, it amounts to the seventh part of the light of the sun. And thus she rises, and her first phase in the east comes forth on the 30th morning, and on that day she becomes visible. And the moon, so visible on the 30th day, and constitutes for you the first phase of the moon on the 30th day, together with the sun in the portal where the sun rises. And one half of her goes forth by a seventh part, and her whole circumference is empty, without light, with the exception of the seventh part, the 14th of her light. And when she receives 1/7 part of the half of her light amounts to 1/7 part and the half thereof. And she sets with the sun, and when the sun rises, the moon rises with him, and receive the half of 1 part of light. And in that night, in the beginning of her morning, in the commencement of the brackets, that was probably added, the moon sets with the sun, and is invisible that night with 14 parts and the half of one of them. And she rises on that day with exactly a seventh part, and comes forth and recedes from the rising of the sun. And in her remaining days she becomes bright in the remaining 13 parts. Chapter 74. Oh yeah, happy Sabbath, by the way. It's 11:39, but p.m. But it's not over yet. And I saw another course, a law for her, and how according to that law she performs her monthly revolution. And all these Uriel, the holy angel, who is the leader of them all, showed me. So he's learning this stuff from the archangels. So if you had an archangel come to you today and say, I'm going to show you all creation. Here's this, and here's this, and here's this. He shows you everything. Is it irrelevant? Wouldn't you want to share it with? Oh, look, this angel came and showed me this stuff. Check this out. He showed me this and this and this. Yeah. Well, you wouldn't just blow it off, which is what most people are doing with Enoch here. And their positions, and I wrote down their positions as he showed them to me, and I wrote down their months as they were, and the appearance of their lights, till 15 days were accomplished. In single 7 parts she accomplishes all her light in the east, and in single 7 parts accomplishes all her darkness in the west. And in certain months she alters her settings, and in certain months she pursues her own peculiar course. In 2 months the moon sets with the sun, and those 2 middle portals, the sun and the fourth, She goes forth for 7 days and turns about and returns again through the portal where the sun rises and accomplishes all her light. And she recedes from the sun. Yeah, I was going to do this earlier, but I took a nap, and then I ended up waking up at 10 o'clock at night. 3-hour nap. And enters the sixth portal from which the sun goes forth. And when the sun goes forth from the fourth portal, she goes forth 7 days until she goes forth from the fifth. Turns back again in 7 days into the fourth portal and accomplishes all her light. And she recedes and enters into the first portal in 8 days, and she returns again in 7 days into the fourth portal from which the sun goes forth. Thus I saw their position, how the moons rose and the sun set in those days. And if 5 years are added together with the sun, it has an overplus of 30 days, and all the days which accrue to it for one of those 5 years, when they are full, amount to 364 days. And the overplus of the sun and the stars amount to 6 days, and 5 years, 6 days every year come to 30 days, and the moon falls behind the sun, and the stars to the number of 30 days. Jubilees agrees, 10 days a year. And the sun and the stars bring in all the years exactly. So the sun and the stars bring in the years exactly, so that they do not advance or delay their position by a single day unto eternity. Jubilees tells you that the sun is 4 days and 4 years and Jubilees, but complete the years with perfect justice in 364 days. So we have 365-day calendar. It is wrong. It's off by a day. I don't have the right calendar, so I don't know what to tell you. In 3 years there are 1,092 days, and in 5 years 1820 days, so that in 8 years there are 2912 days. For the moon alone, the days amount in 3 years to 1,062 days, and in 5 years she falls 50 days behind. To sum of 1770 there is to be added 1,062 days, and in 5 years there are 1770 days, so that for the moon the days in 8 years amount to 2832 days. For in 8 years she falls behind the amount of 80 days. All the days she falls behind in 8 years are 80, and the years accurately completed in conformity with their world stations and the stations of the sun, which rise from the portals through which the sun rises and sets 30 days. 75. And the leaders of the heads of the thousands who are placed over the whole creation and over all the stars have also to do with the 4 intercalary days, being inseparable from their office, according to the reckoning of the year, and these render service on the 4 days which are not reckoned in the reckoning of the year. And owing to them men go wrong therein, for those luminaries truly render service on the world stations, one in the first portal, one in the third portal of the heaven. You notice how the angel talked about the sun and the moon going in and out of portals, first portal, second portal, third portal. So the luminaries have something to do with each portal. So, and one in the fourth portal, one in the sixth portal. And people go in error because of these, because they don't have them lined up right. And the exactness of the year is accomplished through its separate 364 stations. For the signs and the times and the years and the days the angel Uriel showed to me, whom Yahweh of glory hath set forever over all the luminaries of the heaven, in the heaven and in the world, that they should rule on the face of the heaven, and be seen on the earth, and be leaders for the day and the night, the sun, the moon, and stars, and all the ministering creatures which make their revolution, and all the chariots of the heaven. In like manners the 12 doors Uriel showed me, open in the circumference of the sun's chariot in the heaven, through which the rays of the sun break forth, and from them is warmth diffused over the earth. Warmth diffused over the earth when they are open at their appointed seasons, and for the winds and the spirit of dew when they are open, standing open in the heavens at the ends, as for the 12 portals in the heaven and the ends of the earth, out of which go forth the sun, moon, and stars, and all the works of heaven, in the east and in the west. There are many windows open to the left and right of them, and one window at its appointed season produces warmth, corresponding in these do to those doors, from which the stars come forth according as he has commanded them, and wherein they set corresponding to their number. And I saw chariots in heaven running in the world above those portals, in which revolve the stars that never set, and one is larger than all the rest, and it is that that makes its course through the entire world. Stars that never set, one larger than the rest. Interesting. I don't claim to know it all, but I'm just sharing my understanding. Read scripture and share some of what he's helped me to understand. All glory to Yah. Chapter 76. And at the ends of the earth I saw 12 portals open to all the quarters of the heaven, from which the winds go forth and blow over the earth. 3 of them are open on the face, the east of the heavens, 3 in the west, 3 on the right, the south of the heaven, and 3 on the left, the north. And they tell us that north is up, not left. South is down, not right. See, we live in an upside down world. Everything they teach us is a lie. And the 3 first are those of the east, and 3 are of the north, and 3 after those on the left of the south, and 3 of the west. Through 4 of these come winds of blessing and prosperity, and from those 8 come hurtful winds. When they are sent, they bring destruction on all the earth, and on the water upon it, and on all who dwell thereon, and on everything which is in the water, and on the land. Winds. And the first wind from those portals, called the east wind, comes forth through the first portal which is in the east, inclining towards the south. From it come forth desolation, drought, heat, and destruction. Through the second portal in the middle comes what is fitting, and from it there comes rain, and fruitfulness, and prosperity, and dew. And through the third portal which lies toward the north come cold and drought. And after these come forth the south winds through 3 portals. Through the first portal of them, inclining to the east, comes forth a hot wind. And through the middle portal next to it, there come forth fragrant smells, and dew, and rain, and prosperity, and health. And through the third portal lying to the west, come forth dew and rain, locusts, and desolation. And after these, the north winds from the 7th portal in the east come dew, and rain, and locusts, and desolation. And from the middle portal come in a direction, health, and rain, and dew, and prosperity. And through the third portal in the west come cloud, and hoarfrost, and snow, and rain, and dew, and locust. And after these 4 are the west winds. Through the first portal adjoining the north come forth dew, and hoarfrost, and cold, and snow, and frost. And from the middle portal come forth dew, and rain, and prosperity, and blessing. And through the last portal which adjoins the south come forth drought, and desolation, and burning, and destruction. And the 12 portals of the 4 quarters of the heaven are therewith completed, and all their laws, and all their plagues, and all their benefactions have I shown thee, my son Methuselah. So by these come plagues. Very interesting. Chapter 77. And the first quarter is called the east, because it is the first, and the second the south, because the Most High will descend there. Yea, there is in quite a special sense will he who is blessed forever descend. And if you don't know these scriptures here, and you start reading the rest of the scriptures, you will miss it. You'll take it out of context, make up your own mind as to what it says, and be wrong. There's a reason he told you these things, or told us these things. Descend in the south, and the west quarter is named the diminished, because there all the luminaries of the heaven wane and go down. And the 4th quarter, named the north, is divided into 3 parts. The first of them is for the dwelling of men. The second contains seas of water, and the abysses, and forests, and rivers, and darkness, and clouds. And the third part contains the garden of righteousness, Garden of Eden. I saw 7 high mountains, higher than all the mountains which are on the earth, and thence comes forth hoarfrost, and days, seasons, and years pass away. I saw 7 rivers on the earth, larger than all these rivers. One of them, coming from the west, pours its waters into the great sea, and these 2 come from the north to the sea, and pour their waters into Erythraean Sea in the east. And the remaining 4 come forth on the side of the north to their own sea, 2 of them to the Erythraean Sea, and 2 into the great sea, and discharge themselves there, and some say into the desert. 7 great islands I saw in the sea, and in the mainland, 2 in the mainland, and 5 in the great sea. 78. And the names of the sun are the following. The first Orgeris, and the second Thomas. And the moon has 4 names. The first is Sonja, the second Elba, the third Benice, and the fourth Array. These are the 2 great luminaries. Their circumference is like the circumference of the heaven. The size of the circumference of both is alike. In the circumference of the sun there are 7 portions of light, which are added to it more than the moon. And I want to add that here's your kind of an idea. Probably not exact, but this gives you an idea. The earth and Sheol, the chambers, the foundations of the heavens, the portals, sun and moon in the heavens, firmament, waters above, waters beneath. See, before our modern day deception, the ancients knew this. We're the idiots. We don't know. His word tells us, but we pretend like it doesn't matter. He told us for a reason. In the circumference of the sun there are 7 portions of light, which are added to it more than the moon, and in definite measures it is transferred till the 7th portion of the sun is exhausted. And they set and enter the portals of the west, and make their revolution by the north, and come forth through the eastern portals on the face of the heaven. And when the moon rises, 1/14th part appears in the heaven. The light becomes full in her. On the 14th day she accomplishes her light, and 15 parts of light are transferred to her till the 15th day, when her light is accomplished according to the sign of the year, and she becomes 15 parts. And the moon grows by the addition of 14 parts. And in her waning, the moon decreases on the first day to 14 parts of her light, on the second to 13 parts, third to 12, fourth to 11, fifth to 10, sixth to 9, seventh to 8th, 8th to 7th, and on the 9th to 6th, 10th to 5, 11th to 4, 12th to 3, 13th to 2, and on the 14th to half of a 7th, and all her remaining light disappears wholly on the 15th. So the 15th, yeah. And in certain months, the month has 29 days, and once 28 days. And Uriel showed me another law when light is transferred to the moon, and on which side it is transferred to her by the sun. During all the period during which the moon is growing in her light, she is transferring it to herself. When opposite to the sun during 14 days, her light is accomplished in the heaven. And when she is illumined throughout, her light is accomplished full in the heaven. And on the first day she is called the new moon, for on that day the light rises upon her. She becomes full moon exactly on the day when the sun sets in the west, and from the east she rises at night, and the moon shines the whole night through, till the sun rises over against her, and the moon is seen over against the sun. On the side whence the light of the moon comes forth, there again she wanes till all the light vanishes, and all the days of the month are in an end, and her circumference is empty, void of light. All the days of the month are at an end, and her circumference is empty, void of light. In 3 months she makes of 30 days, and at her time she makes 3 months of 29 days each, in which she accomplishes her waning in the first period of time, and in the first portal for 177 days, and in the time for going out she appears. For 3 months she appears with 29 each. At night she appears like a man for 20 days each time, and by day she appears like the heaven, and there is nothing else in her save her light. 79. And now, my son, I have shown thee everything, and the law of all the stars of heaven is completed. And he showed me for all the laws of these for every day, and for every season of bearing rule, for every year, and for its going forth, and for the order prescribed to it every month and every week, and the waning of the moon, which takes place in the 6th portal. For in this 6th portal her light is accomplished, and after that there is the beginning of waning, and the waning which takes place in the 1st portal in its season, till 177 days are accomplished, reckoned according to the weeks, 25 weeks and 2 days. She falls behind the sun, and the order of the stars exactly 5 days in the course of one period. And when this place which thou seest has been traversed, such is the picture and sketch of every luminary which Uriel the archangel, who is their leader, showed unto me. Pretty important. Got an archangel set over it. chapter 80. And in those days the angel Uriel answered and said to me, Behold, I have shown thee everything, Enoch, and have revealed everything to thee, that thou shouldst see this sun and this moon and the leaders of the stars of the heaven, and all those who turn them, their task and times and departures. So this is his creation, our Father in heaven, and it's very important. Don't listen to man. In the days of the sinners, the years shall be shortened. Their seed shall be tardy on their lands and fields, and all things on earth shall alter. So what's the last day's prophecy in Jubilees? Our days. Last day's prophecy in Enoch, our days. Our days, the days of sinners, the years shall be shortened. So the calendar here says 364, our calendar says 365, but here it says the years will be shortened. All things on earth shall alter and shall not appear in their time, and the rain shall be kept back, and the heavens shall withhold it. And in those times the fruits of the earth shall be backward and shall not grow in their time, and the fruits of the trees shall be withheld in their time, and the moon shall alter her order and not appear at her time. And in those days the sun shall be seen, and he shall journey in the evening on the extremity of the great chariot in the west, and shall shine more brightly than accords with the order of light. Could be why they're spraying and blocking the sun out. And many chiefs of the stars shall transgress the order prescribed, and these shall alter their orbits and tasks, and not appear at the seasons prescribed to them. So even if we could figure out the calendar, everything's screwed up. Man screwed up everything. And the whole order of the stars shall be concealed from the sinners. See? That's why people don't know. And the thoughts of those on the earth shall err concerning them. They shall be altered from all their ways. Yea, thou shalt err and take them to be gods. Naming the constellations after pagan gods. Yea, they shall err and take them to be gods. And evil shall be multiplied upon them, and punishment shall come upon them, so as to destroy all. It's coming, people. Repent, keep the commandments. Chapter 81, and he said unto me, Observe ye not these heavenly tablets, and read what is written thereon, and mark every individual fact. Enoch saw the heavenly tablets, just as Moses did. And I observed the heavenly tablets, and read everything which was written thereon, and understood everything, and read the book of all the deeds of mankind, and of all the children of flesh that shall be upon the earth to the remotest generations. He saw everything. Everything. And forthwith I blessed the great Yahweh, the King of glory, forever, in that he had made all the works of the world. And I extolled Yahweh because of his patience, and blessed him because of the children of men. And after that I said, Blessed is the man who dies in righteousness and goodness, concerning whom there is no book of unrighteousness written, and against whom no day of judgment shall be found. And those 7 holy ones brought me and placed me on the earth before the door of my house, and said to me, 7 archangels, Declare everything to thy son Methuselah, and show to all children that no flesh is righteous in the sight of Yahweh, for he is their creator. 1 year we will leave thee with thy son, till thou givest thy last commands, that thou mayest teach thy children, and record it for them, and testify to all thy children. And in the 2nd year they shall take thee from their midst. So the angels left him with his children to give them instructions. And if they did that, it's pretty important what his instructions are. Let thy heart be strong, for the good shall announce righteousness to the good. The righteous with the righteous shall rejoice, and shall offer congratulation to one another. But the sinners shall die with the sinners, and the apostate go down with the apostate. And those who practice righteousness shall die on account of the deeds of men, and be taken away on account of the doings of the godless. And in those days they ceased to speak to me, and I came to my people, blessing Yahweh of the world. Yeah, let's do 82, and then I'll get there. And now my son Methuselah, all these things I am recounting to thee and writing down for thee, and I have revealed to thee everything, and given thee books concerning all these. So preserve, my son Methuselah, the books from thy father's hand, and see that thou deliver them to the generations of the world. Hold on, he didn't say just his generation. He didn't just say to Israel. He said to the generations of the world, everyone. I have given wisdom to thee and to thy children, and thy children that shall be to thee, that they may give it to their children for generations, this wisdom, namely, that passeth their thought. And those who understand it shall not sleep, but shall listen with the ear, that they may learn this wisdom, and it shall please those that eat thereof better than good food. Amen. Hallelujah. Blessed are all the righteous, blessed are all those who walk in the way of righteousness, and sin not as the sinners, in the reckoning of all their days, in which the sun traverses the heaven, entering into and departing from the portals for 30 days. And that is who walk in the way of righteousness, and sin not as the sinners, in the reckoning of all their days. With the heads of the thousands of the order of the stars, together with the four which are intercalated, which divide the 4 portions of the year. So those 4 days divide the year, which lead them and enter with them 4 days. Owing to them men shall be at fault, and not reckon them in the whole reckoning of the year. Yea, men shall be at fault, and not recognize them accurately. Future prophecy. Hello. For they belong to the reckoning of the year, and are truly recorded thereon forever. One in the first portal, and one in the third, and one in the fourth, and one in the sixth. And the year is completed in 364 days. And the account thereof is accurate, and the recorded reckoning thereof exact. For the luminaries and months and festivals and years and days has Uriel shown and revealed to me, to whom Yahweh of the whole creation of the world hath subjected the host of heaven. And he has power over night and day in the heaven, to cause the light to give light to men, sun, moon, and stars, and all the powers of the heaven which revolve in their circular chariots. And these are the orders of the stars, which set in their places and in their seasons and festivals and months. So the stars set in their places, seasons, festivals, and months. And these are the names of those who lead them, who watch that they enter in at their times, in their orders, in their seasons, in their months, in their periods of dominion, and in their positions. Their 4 leaders who divide the 4 parts of the year enter first, and after them the 12 leaders of the orders who divide the months. And for the 360 days there are heads over thousands who divide the days, and for the 4 intercalary days there are leaders which sunder the 4 parts of the year. And these heads over thousands are intercalated between leader and leader, each behind a station, but their leaders make the division. And these are the names of the leaders who divide the 4 parts of the year, which are ordained. They're ordained. Milkel, Helimelech, Melejal, and Neral. And the names of those who lead them, Adeniral, and Ejazsuel, and Elomiel. These 3 follow the leaders of the orders, and there is one that follows the 3 leaders of the orders, which follow these leaders of stations that divide the 4 parts of the year. In the beginning of the year, Mechalel rises first and rules, who is named Tamani, and the sun, and all the days of his dominion whilst he bears rule are 91 days. These are the signs of the days which are to be seen on the earth in the days of his dominion: sweat and heat and calms, and all the trees bear fruit, and the leaves are produced on all the trees, and the harvest of the wheat, and the rose flowers, and all the flowers which come forth in the field. But the trees of the winter season become withered. And these are the names of the leaders which are under them: Barchel, and Zelbazel, and another who is added a head of 1,000, called Hiljusef. And the days of the dominion of this leader are at an end. The next leader after him is Helimelech, whom one names the shining sun, and all the days of his light are 91 days. And these are the signs of his days on the earth: glowing heat and dryness, and the trees ripen their fruits and produce all their fruits ripe and ready, and the sheep pair and become pregnant, and all the fruits of the earth are gathered in, and everything that is in the fields and the winepress. These things take place in the days of his dominion. These are the names and the orders and the leaders of those heads of thousands: Gideel, Kiel, he, El, and the name of the head of 1,000 which is added to him, Asphael, and the days of his dominion are at an end. And it looks like part of chapter 82 is missing because there's more. There's more to it. So, all right, I'll stop there, and hopefully that was a blessing and helpful to someone. And yep, 82. So that's good. So